The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
By tomorrow, I will rule the world!
You think he's gone? He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone!
Is this some radical new therapy?
You see?
Well, I must have not been paying attention when you were just talking to me. Do you think?
And of course, last week I forgot to share the show till halfway through the show. And the first half was the best part of the show. I think we got it shared today, though.
Well, we already got 3 people watching, so we're there.
Oh, God. We had 3. That's, are you kidding? That's a crowd. 2 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon. I got so many things I'd love to talk about today. Howell, Michigan. In fact, maybe we'll kill the video that you spent all that time looking for. It just doesn't fit with where we are. Okay. But I promise we will do it next week.
That's okay. Right. I'll just delete that.
We'll save it for next week so you can find it.
Well, it's a yeah.
All right. Are we up? Are we gone? We're good? All right. Let's get this show on the road. Hi, how you guys doing? My name's Tom Duggan with the Paying Attention Podcast. Hi, atop 2 guys smoke shop at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. Got a great show for you today. You know, sometimes I come in and say I've got a great show for you. Can you pull me up just a little bit? Sometimes I come in and say I've got a great show, and I really don't. I only have like a mediocre show planned for you, but it turns out to be a good show. But today I know we've got a good show for you because we've got a great guest in the studio, and we're going to talk to him in a couple of minutes. But first, if I can find it, we want to thank our sponsors. Nothing's easy, Chrissy. Seriously, nothing's easy. No matter what you do, there's always a problem.
Oh boy.
This is the old list. Do we have the new list? Of course not. Why would we have the new list? That would just make things a lot easier. All right, we'll use the old list to try and make it up as we go. All right, I want to thank our sponsors, AFC Urgent Care. We love Lisa and Zaka and everybody over at. And he's here today, so that's going to be really fun. Zany Pesci Law Office in Methuen, Marsan & Son Construction, EIS, Investigation and Gun Training, Tomo and Shaken Seafood, Clear Path for Veterans New England, Pleasant Valley Landscaping Contractors, who are the new ones? A&J Goodwin Plumbing, Patrick's Eatery. Let's see if we can find the rest of them. There's got to be a way we can find this so I don't have to leave anybody out at the beginning of the show. It's just awful. I'm nervous because one of my favorite people is here, and I don't know how this keeps happening, but it does. Oh, here it is. We've got it finally. Who else do we have? Our Bonfire Wellness Center in North Andover, which you should try because I'm going to be trying. I'm going to be going there, I think, this weekend. 4-star lighting and it just says and. So maybe it's just an errant word on my. Oh. It's 4-star lighting and. So and call them and use them for your lighting. Stadium Chiropractic, W3ON. Website design, Enterprise Bank. We love Enterprise Bank. Are you guys using Enterprise Bank over at AFC? Urgent Care?
We are at this point.
You're not? Well, let me encourage you to call Jessica over at Enterprise Bank. I was with Santander Bank 25 years. Mm-hmm. And the level of service got worse and worse and worse. And every time I asked for a manager, instead of them trying to accommodate what I wanted, would make excuses for why these are the new rules. There's nothing we can do. It's just the way that it is. It's banking. All banks are doing this. I found Jessica Phillips over at Enterprise Bank, and I said, these are my concerns. One of them is I have somebody that goes and deposits cash for me once or twice a month. Santander wouldn't let them deposit cash because they didn't have an account with Santander. It's cash. It says, this is good for all debts, public and private, like right on the money, and they wouldn't take it. I called Jessica. She said, you know what, Tom? You want to send anybody down here to deposit cash? Not a problem. All the concerns that I told her about, no problem. So within one day, I closed out all my accounts, moved them all over my personal account, my personal checking, my personal savings, business checking, business savings, business credit card, moving them all over to Enterprise Bank, have not been happier. In 25 years, I have not been this happy with a bank. So I just want to encourage you. You can do what you want, and I'm not telling you what to do, but I do want to encourage you to go to Enterprise Bank and go see Jessica Phillips. She's really, really nice. And who did we leave out? We left somebody out. Prime Insurance in North Reading, the Doug Mercurio Law Office, and Chris's Barbershop, who did my hair last month. So I think we got everybody. If not, we're going to do this again. Oh, a free shout out to JG's Ice Cream and attorney Paul Lambert. So there's a couple of things I want to get to today. I had a video of Donald Trump that I wanted to run, but with Zaka here, I might just kill it just so that we have a little bit more time with him. But there is something that I do want to address. So Methuen Mayor Neil Perry has passed away. Boy, there's an awful lot that I could say about this. I'm not going to say a lot of things about this until a little time has passed. He's not buried yet. And everybody knows we did not get along at the end. We were very good friends at one point. He used to actually be a staple on this show. Once a month, he was here every single month for like a year and a half. But here's what I do want to say, because it's not really about Neil Perry. It's about the way people respond when somebody dies. So I was on the phone with two different Methuen residents who happened to be elected officials a couple of days before Neil Perry passed away. And both of these, and I'm not going to give you the names because it's not about who they are. It's about the topic, okay? If I give you the names, everybody will focus on who I'm talking about rather than the issue. The issue is this. I was on the phone with two different Methuen residents who are elected officials within a day or two before Neil Perry died. And they were savaging him on the phone with me. And in full disclosure, I was participating in the conversation because we didn't get along. But when Neil Perry passed away, and we posted the story. We got the lead. We got the breaking story over the Tribune by, I think, like maybe an hour. And we posted the story. Within minutes of me posting that story, they were the first two people on Facebook to post photos of them with Neil Perry, talking about everyone loved him. He lit up every room he walked into. He never said a bad word about everyone. He smiled everywhere he went. It was nauseating. It was nauseating to watch people that I know privately hated this guy, to then see them on Facebook. And one of them, and again, I'm not going to say the name because you probably know who it is anyway. One of them went on a radio program and went on television talking about how much integrity he had, while they were on the phone with me 2 days earlier, mockingly calling him Mayor Integrity. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And whenever somebody dies, you'll see this. People are always looking to glom attention off of the death of somebody else. Whether it's a famous person or someone in your family, there's always somebody that hated that person who shows up at the wake and cries the loudest, who looks the most distraught. And so my heart does go out to Neil Perry's family. We did not get along. We did not like each other. We had some serious issues between us, but we were at one point very good friends. And so my heart does go out to his family because no matter how much I don't like someone, I certainly don't wish death upon them, unlike other people that I saw on Facebook. But I do want to caution you people not to buy the baloney that you see on Facebook when somebody's posting a photo of them with Neil Perry as if they were best friggin' friends. Because behind the scenes, most of these people hated him. And I feel worse for his family when I see someone being so hypocritical. Like someone called me last night and said, "Are you going to Neil Perry's wake or funeral?" And I said, "No, why would I disrespect his family like that? Everyone knew we didn't get along. Why would I go and disrespect his family knowing that they know we didn't get along? Like, why would I do that?" And the answer that I got was because everybody else is doing that. Counselor so-and-so hated him, but he's going to go. He'll probably sit in the front row. And I said, you know what? You're probably right about that. I really want to address this on my show because it happens. And no matter who you are, you have experienced this. A family member dies, a friend dies, and someone who hated that person shows up and cries the loudest, goes on Facebook and talks about how much they loved this person just to somehow glom attention off of that person's death. And I'll give you another perfect example, and then we're going to talk to Zaka. When I was in the hospital last year, and I was on death's door, and I died twice, and they brought me back, and word finally started to get out after I was in the hospital for about 2 weeks. Lawrence's homeless coordinator, Kelly Burchell-Frazier, called my mother to see how I was doing and feigned concern for my health. told her that she was going to pray for me, and then pumped her for information about me in case I survived, she could use it against me, which, by the way, she did. And when I became well enough that my mom came to visit me in the hospital, and she said, oh, by the way, and she told me who had called her to find out how I was doing, the first person's name she mentioned was Kelly Burchill Frazier. And she said, you know, she seemed so nice. My parents call me TJ. TJ, she was really concerned about, you know, that girl really loves you. I didn't have the heart to tell her that woman hates my friggin' guts, that woman is actively trying to get me killed in the city of Lawrence, like actively trying to get me killed. I didn't have the heart to tell her because she felt so warm and fuzzy. I said, you know what? At least it made my mother feel good that somebody called and did that. But make no mistake about it, if I had died a year ago when I was in the hospital and they didn't bring me back, Kelly Burchill Frazier and Debo Brown would have been sitting in the front row crying louder than anybody, even though they're trying to get me killed. Like they're all over Facebook going, he has no gun, they took his gun. Why do you think they're doing that? Why do you think that when they know that I go to shootings and fires and accidents in Lawrence, why do you think they're doing that? Like, you tell me why you think they're doing that. But these were the people when I was in the hospital. Oh, Dottie, I'm so concerned about it. So I'm bringing this up because we've all experienced it, and I want to caution people to just stop doing that. Like, please, if you take nothing else from today's show, please just stop doing that. If somebody dies and you didn't really like them, you don't have to savage them, but don't be a phony either. Don't go to the wake and cry and pretend that you cared if you really didn't. And if you did, there's lots of people like Susan Riccio who posted a picture of her and Neil Perry, and she loved Neil Perry. We had conversations about it all the time. She loved the guy. And when I saw that picture of her with Neil, it made me feel good that she had that picture of her and Neil because she loved the guy. So my heart does go out to Neil Perry. I wish all the political people in Methuen were not such friggin' phonies. I am not going to be attending the wake. I am not going to be attending the funeral. I will write a story about it in the next paper. Because I think anytime anybody dies, somebody should be saying, if you're going to say negative things about them when they're alive, then you should be able to say nice things about them when they pass away, as long as you're telling the truth. And nobody is all good and they're all bad. So, anyways, all right, I had two other things I was going to get to, but instead, sitting here with me is our good friend. Now, normally it's Lisa Williams comes in from AFC Urgent Care, and I love Lisa. This is nothing against Lisa. We'll have her on another time, maybe in a couple weeks if she wants to come in and tell me how inappropriate I am. I always enjoy those shows. She will sit here, no matter what I'm talking about, and tell me how inappropriate I am. In fact, the last time she was here, because she called me, an HR nightmare? That was hilarious. It was hilarious. So we will have her back at some point. But AFC Urgent Care is in Methuen, they're in North Andover, they're in Haverhill, and they're in a couple of other locations, right? Where you're at Swampscott too?
Swampscott and Beverly.
And they're offering immigration physicals. And every time I share on my Facebook page their immigration physical ad that they have up on Facebook, I always have 4 or 5 people ask me, what the hell is an immigration physical? And so Zaka and I were having lunch a couple weeks ago, and we were talking, and he was telling me how he's an immigrant to this country, and I thought, what a great topic for the show to talk about how you came to America, why you came to America, what the process was, and how that inspired you as now one of the owners of AFC Urgent Care to offer immigration physicals to people in the Merrimack Valley. So first, introduce yourself. Where are you from? What country did you come from? Kind of tell us what the process was of coming to America.
Absolutely. So, Tom, first of all, thank you for having me on this show.
Well, thank you for being a sponsor. We love having our sponsors on, no matter what they want to talk about.
That is good to know. I came to this country in 2012. I grew up in Pakistan and Canada and moved to New York City in 2012. I was there for a few years. I moved to Massachusetts about 8 years ago. I
was going to let you go.
Sure.
But that's got to be a culture shock. You went from Pakistan to Canada to New York. Like, before we even go on from there, like, what kind of a culture? You went from Pakistan to Canada, which is like a whole separate, like, thing. Like, it's out country. Everything's like 100 miles away from everything else. It's suburbia everywhere. There's almost no cities in Canada. What was that culture shock like?
Well, I was in Toronto, which is a pretty large city.
Okay,
actually,
so you're in the city.
So it wasn't so bad at all. And then when I moved to New York is like that, I guess we all see it in the movies, we read the papers, but it's like that place in the world where everything is moving at 5 times normal speed.
Right.
And I loved that. I was very much at home there. I think the second day I was there, I was like, I have found my place in the world.
Really?
So it was absolutely amazing. And I was there for 2.5 years.
I loved New York to visit, but I couldn't wait to leave.
I think it's odd, right? Like everyone goes through like a certain curve where the younger you are, there's no better place in the world
Right,
than New
right.
York. And then as you get past a certain age, like I've been in Massachusetts now for about 8.5 years, and I wouldn't go back to New York because I love this place. What I love about here, I moved to Beverly. It was across the street from my first clinic, so I could literally walk to work, New York style. And this state, the North Shore in particular, has just been the most amazing place to move to. Everyone's been super friendly. There's this thing that people have about this Massachusetts that people are not friendly or not welcoming. That could not be further from the truth.
Well,
was
it is.
awesome.
It is just not in the North Shore, Merrimack Valley area. If you go south or west, you're going to run into the people who they don't want to be. They don't want to hold the door for you. They don't want to say please and thank you. You know, they're going to beat
Luckily,
me.
I haven't been south or west, so now
Okay,
that you've told me
all
that, I'm not going to.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
I'm happy where I am. So I was in Beverly for 5 years and then in North Andover for 3 years, and honestly, both these places have been truly amazing.
North Andover is this either the best or second best place to live on earth. Like it is. And I live on Main Street, so to me, it's even better because within a 4-block radius, I could literally live my entire life never leaving those 4 blocks.
Absolutely.
You've got Town Hall, you've got CVS, you've got 3 different pizza places, you've got the banks, you've got Town Hall, you've got the post office, you've got a Dunkin' Donuts, which just became a taco place, way better, right? You've got Heavenly Donuts. So just the downtown area alone, you could literally live your entire life there and never leave and get all of your needs met. And then when you go like out country or over by the 114 area, even better because now you've got all these places you can go to, but you don't have to like see people. I'm not a people person. I don't like people. In fact, I generally dislike people. So if you're on 114, you're driving to these places because it's a highway, right? And then you go out country, which is even better, less people, right? And I think that's where you live. You live out like Salem Street, Foster Street.
I live very close to you, actually.
Oh, you do?
About a few blocks away from downtown North Andover.
Oh,
Just
no
what the
kidding.
nearest pension, so maybe about 5 minutes drive from there.
Oh, no kidding.
What I really like about the space about North Andover is that we're so close to New Hampshire and Maine and Vermont, and we're also still pretty close to New York and Connecticut. So I can hop in my car, and in 3.5 hours I can be in Manhattan, or I could be like a couple of weeks ago, but all the way up almost to the Canadian border. In the backwoods of Maine, I was canoeing and camping there for 5 or 6 days, and we didn't see another person for 4 days.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That was just like the most.
Please invite me next time. I'd love to go 4 days without seeing another person.
You're always welcome. That's
Right.
that's the place to go. There's no phones. There's no signal. It's just you and the woods.
Now, where is this?
This is in just north of Greenville, Maine.
Greenville, Maine. All right.
In Baxter State Park.
I got a friend in Milo, Maine, who swears by it and moved up there and will never leave.
I can totally see that.
So you did all this moving around. You had all of this culture shock. You landed in North Andover. But what was the process like? When you left Pakistan. What was the? I won't make that mistake again. I know that's a soft spot.
They're right next to each other, so it's not that far apart.
But first, what made you want to come here, and what was the process like?
So I came to New York to do grad school, and that's how I wound up there. My dad went to grad school in New York as well, so I was sort of following his footsteps. And so when I came over here, I was there for a couple of years, and when I was living there, I wanted to do something on my own and build my own business. And in New York, at that point in time, I had just come out of grad school, so I didn't have access to healthcare, didn't have health insurance, didn't have any money at all, in fact. And it was just a situation where I saw these urgent care clinics popping up, and you could go and see a doctor without an appointment, and it was covered by your insurance, and it was quick and easy. It took like half an hour, and the cost was very reasonable, right? So it was quick, easy, affordable, convenient. I didn't want to go to the emergency room to get a strep test.
Right.
And at that point, that was the only option that I had as somebody who didn't have insurance. So these clinics started popping up, and I said, look, this is a great service, and I wanted to do something along those lines. And I found American Family Care, which is a franchise. It's the only franchise of urgent care clinics in the United States. And they had some opportunities available in the North Shore. So I said, sign me up and let's go out there.
Now, how did you, hook up with Lisa, and I always call him Mr. Lisa because I can never remember his name, Tom. How did you hook up with Lisa Williams to own some of the local AFCs, and then where did you how have you now morphed this into the two of you now making this like such a successful business?
So I opened up my first location in Beverly in 2016, and then a year later I opened up Swampscott. So I had 2 locations, and we were doing fairly well there. The pandemic hit, that sort of made things crazy in the urgent care world. And at that point in time, Lisa and her husband, Tom DeLacy, they wanted to make a change. So I acquired their locations, North Andover and Methuen, from them. They stayed on in a minority role. So they are our business partners. And we have added a 5th location, which is in Haverhill. So it's been a journey. And I think more so than anything, the people of the North Shore have felt the need for convenient and accessible care. And you've seen in the trends also, like just in the last 6 months, with everything that's happening with Steward and hospitals shutting down in the state, it's just a crying shame. So what we provide is healthcare owned by folks who live here and who work here, and it's a local family-owned business. And it's been a wild journey so far. Every
doctor that I talked to, including my last 2 doctors who not only quit their jobs, but quit medicine, all told me when Obamacare kicked in, they lost the right to treat their patients the way they wanted to. And that was the beginning of where we now end up with Holy Family collapsing, Steward collapsing, some of these other hospitals collapsing. And obviously COVID didn't help either, right? But is that your experience? I mean...
So to be fair, those things don't have a lot to do with what we do in the urgent care space. Just to speak to the problems with American healthcare, some of the things that happened with Steward, I don't think it was Obamacare per se, and I'm saying that because I think the problems began long before that. They go back 30, 40, 50 years. The thing is that primary care physicians in this country are just not paid enough. Ever since insurance companies have imposed all sorts of rules and restrictions, Obamacare actually lifted some of those restrictions, the biggest one being, for example, if you had a pre-existing condition, you couldn't get insurance. So you might as well go and die, but you wouldn't get treatment. Right. And I don't think that's really an American.
By the way, I agree with you about that. I was not a fan of Obama,
yeah.
But some of the things that he did was good. And one of those things was covering pre-existing conditions, because I had a pre-existing condition.
Exactly.
I had a very difficult time getting on Romney Care. Now, Romney Care ended up saving my life. Obamacare almost ended up killing me. But once everything got settled, once we were through that initial 3 or 4 year period, I actually have now started to benefit from it.
That's
having
awesome.
Gone through what I went through last year.
Yeah, so Obamacare is basically modeled on Romney Care. Romney Care was, in fact, the template, and I think it was a good template. And I'm happy and proud to live in a state like Massachusetts, where this was the first state in the United States where it was made a priority to have health care available to all. I know it's definitely expensive from a state budget point of view, but I think this is the most humane state in the country, and the way people are treated over here with dignity is awesome. So I'm glad to see that. You were mentioning something about Steward. That was just I think plain corporate greed. Like you had a guy who wanted to pick up $250 million and spend them on yachts and boats and planes. That tale is almost as old as time, right? It happens every few years in this country. So that's a crying shame.
Almost like a hedge fund guy who bought it and then just stripped out all of its wealth.
So a bunch of hedge fund guys bought it. The CEO took out a lot of money. I think he was just yesterday, the Senate held him in criminal contempt. So we'll see where that goes. But that's just, at the one level. The one where it matters to us is the folks who are going to the Holy Families and going to St. Elizabeth's and going to the local hospitals and relying on those specialists for their care and for them to be facing the problems they did. And we have a lot of people who work with us who work in those hospitals as well. That was just like a shame to see that all their lives being disrupted because of greed.
We've long called Holy Family Holy Fatal on this show because I've written so many stories of. I had a friend of mine, and you can look it up if you want to Google it. I had a friend of mine who wrote the Red Sox song, the theme song for the Red Sox. His mother went into Holy Family for a knee operation, came out dead because when they put her on the ventilator, They forgot to turn it on, and she died. She aspirated and she died, and she went in for a knee operation.
wow.
And I think I wrote that story back in 2012 or 2013. That's how far back that goes. So Holy Family's never really had a very good reputation, at least not in the last 20 to 25 years. On the other hand, Lawrence General has got a great reputation. So I'm so glad that they're taking over what was Holy Family, because you're familiar with my personal case, right? They rushed me into the hospital on Nancy rushed me in on a Monday night around, 9, 10 o'clock at night, whatever time we ended up getting there. Within under 24 hours, they put me into a drug-induced coma for 11 days and worked on saving my life. Every minute of those 11 days, there was some doctor, some nurse, some respiratory specialist by my side doing something to try and save my life. And they were Now, I know that they're not really that good for managed care, but when it comes to emergency care, when it comes to something that's like what I had to go through, someone has a heart attack, someone's in a horrible car accident, Lawrence General is the place to go. Like, I'd go there before I'd go to Boston.
That's awesome. And I think that's where a story like this hits you, right? Now, imagine if one of those hospitals had been forced to shut down because of this kind of theft and greed. That would have meant that folks who live in the Merrimack Valley now suddenly have to travel 30, 40, 50 miles for that critical life-saving care. That would just be unacceptable. Yeah. So I'm glad that the state seems to have found a resolution, and I hope that it works.
But if it's not an emergency situation like I was in a year ago, I'm at AFC. Like, I'm going to AFC, especially North Andover, because it's right around the corner from my office, maybe half a mile from my office. I went there one day. I had an abscessed tooth. My tooth was killing me. It was a Sunday of a 3-day weekend. There was no way I was going to get to see a dentist before Tuesday, and this was like a Saturday night, early Sunday morning. As soon as you guys opened Sunday morning, I went in, took care of me right away, gave me a prescription right away for amoxicillin, gave me a pill right away for the pain to get me through to Tuesday. Short amount of time. I don't forget what they gave me, Vicodin or whatever, for that day and a half that got me through. I was so thrilled. In fact, that was right around the time you were coming on board with AFC. And I think I remember calling, looking for Lisa, but getting you, and talking to you on the phone and just telling you what a great experience it was, that rather than go to the hospital and wait 4.5 hours, right, because you have people, with car accidents and stuff ahead of you, rightfully so. I walked in, I sat down, I barely picked up my phone to go on Facebook, and they were calling my name. Like, I was in and out in like 15 minutes. I can't remember the last time I went for any kind of health care where I was in and out in 15 minutes.
So we try very hard to get the vast majority of our patients out of there in well under an hour.
Yep.
I want to say we get 90% of our patients seen and out the door in 45 minutes or less. So yes, again, we're all about being the easy, affordable, convenient option. And at the same time, that doesn't mean that we don't have amazing quality, because the doctors and nurse practitioners and physician assistants who work there, they worked in the ER, they worked in critical medicine. Most of them have 5 to 10 years of experience. So they're very experienced and well-trained medical professionals. And it is a privilege to work with that team and to be able to help and support them in giving the care that they do.
Who's the doctor that heads the North Andover office?
So our medical director is Dr. Ted Goldemond.
Wonderful. Please pass along to him a copy of this, and please tell him that I said what they're doing over in North Andover is amazing. And every time I've gone in there, and I can list you 5 other times that I've gone in for 5 other things, it's the same story every time, so I won't bore you. I go in, I sit down, in under 15 minutes, somebody is seeing me. In under 15 minutes, I'm walking out, and my issue is resolved somehow. Either I have a prescription or whatever. They've found a way to handle whatever it is my situation is, and I didn't have to waste my entire day sitting in a waiting room at a hospital, any hospital. And I think a lot of people don't go to the hospital because they don't want to sit. I'm one of them. Does not want to sit in a waiting room for 4.5 hours while everybody else gets taken care of.
Well, no one does, right?
Like,
why would you want to?
Right? And so having these urgent cares, especially strategically, 114 North Andover, Merrimack Street, Methuen, and where in Haverhill are you? Right near the downtown.
296 Main Street in Haverhill, right next to the Walgreens and CVS.
Oh, so that's perfect.
Just across the street from City Hall.
Yes, that's perfect. So as an immigrant now, you see things a lot differently than us native-born Americans do, because you came from a totally different culture. Talk about your immigration physicals, but I also want you to kind of, explain to people what the culture shock was of coming from such a different way of thinking. Like, even just, what your normal routine habits were so different than what they are when you come here.
I don't think there was much of a difference, honestly. I was in New York, and again, I thought that was amazing. And then in Massachusetts, I guess I was too busy to be culture shocked because we came over here. We were working 15 hours a day trying to set those locations up. And I was doing medicine for the first time, and it was very different from anything I'd done before. Let's just talk about immigrations, physicals for a second.
Yeah,
That was
please
something
do.
that we
That's one of the
started-
reasons I wanted you on.
So we started doing those about 6 years ago, and that was something that was near and dear to me because obviously I'm an immigrant to this country, and I went through the entire process myself. And I know that it can take years and years and years, and it's got a lot of pitfalls. There's a lot of bureaucracy involved. All the government.
Tell people what an immigration physical is.
So it's very straightforward when you are in the United States or you want to come to the United States and you want to get what they call legal permanent residency, better known as a green card. You need to pass a medical exam, and they just certify a few straightforward things. They want to make sure that you're not carrying tuberculosis or syphilis or certain STIs. They basically want to make sure that you're a healthy person who's going to contribute to the United States. So it's a fairly straightforward exam. There's a urine test, there's a blood test. It takes about half an hour to do all the testing. And then when we get the test results, we call you back in. A doctor sees you for about 10 to 15 minutes tops. And just about everybody passes unless you have a very specific disqualifier. So everybody who wants to get a green card has to go through that process. And we offer it at all of our locations. We do hundreds of those each month. The thing to know about us is even our team, a lot of folks on our team are actually immigrants also.
That's awesome.
So we really are working with people who have been through this process themselves.
I'm a big fan of people who want to come here and become citizens. People want to come here and do it right. And you'll hear me rail on every other show but today about illegal immigration and people who aren't doing it right because there are other people standing in line. There are other people who are bearing the expense of an immigration physical. There are other people who are doing it the right way, and it's a slap in the face to all of them. It's almost like telling them America is not what you think it is. Right, because you have to follow the rules, and other people who are of other classes of people don't have to. So I admire what you're doing, offering this. I think the only thing that I really wish you guys had an office in Lawrence, because boy, I think you'd make so much money. There are so many really good people, mostly Dominican in Lawrence, who want to become American citizens. One of our friends, Marilyn Salcedo, who works at Enterprise Bank in Lawrence, who you should be banking with. Just recently got sworn in as an American citizen, and she had to go through this legal process. And so there is so many people out there like her, like Wardy Castillo, who works at Sheehan's Towing in Methuen, who also just became an American citizen after years and years of trying. There are so many of them, but a lot of them don't know what the process is, or if they're told the process, it sounds too cumbersome for them and too labor intensive for them and overwhelming for them that they end up just not doing it. And so the fact that if you could get if I could help you, I would do it for free. I wouldn't charge you anything. I would call every politician that I know in Lawrence if I thought I could help you guys open up an office in Lawrence. I think you guys would make so much money, and you'd be doing a great service for people who want to become American citizens but just haven't done it yet.
I think we definitely would be interested in that. We have looked at Lawrence. It's a great city. I live 5 minutes from Lawrence. I'm there all the time as it is. You and I have had lunch there a number of times, so I love the place. We also support a number of nonprofits in Lawrence. We contribute towards scholarships in particular and to local businesses in the city of Lawrence. So definitely we have a strong affiliation with that city. We get a lot of people who, like you said, Dominicans and others who want to get immigration physicals, and I just want the folks there to know that we have offices in Methuen, North Andover, which are maybe 5 to 7 minutes from Lawrence. So we're pretty close, and we're ready and available to help you out.
I've got friends.
One big thing that we do, unlike most other places, is that we get the day that you want to be seen and you want to start the process, we get you in that day.
That day.
Most other offices will say, okay, fine, our next stop might be 3, 4, 5 weeks from now. We get you in that day, and we get your testing done, and the test results typically take 5 to 6 days to come back. And then within 5 to 6 days of that, we schedule you the vast majority of the time for your civil service immigration physical, which means that we can get you seen in most cases in between 2 and 3 weeks. Most other places won't even have your first appointment for the first month or so. So we're very quick, and we don't make you wait around. So we do help a lot of people who find out on short notice that they need to get these exams in to their attorney, because often USCIS, which is the agency that deals with this, doesn't give you a lot of time.
I would love to get you on La Mega, the Spanish station. Latinos in Lawrence all listen to the radio, almost like Americans did back in the 80s, right? We were all listening to talk radio, not just radio.
You got to learn new language
right?
then.
It's all in Spanish. But I'd love to get you with a translator onto La Mega with one of my friends who does a show there. And I will reach out to Jacobo and a few of the friends that I have. Alta Garcia also does a show there. So that you can let them know one-on-one, like they can hear from you what it is you're offering to the Latinos, which is mostly what Lawrence is. It's mostly Dominican. We say Latino, but it's mostly Dominican. There's 37, I think, other countries represented, but the vast majority are from the Dominican Republic, which is not a territory of the United States. You do need to become a citizen or get a green card to come here or to stay here. And I would love for you to be able to provide that service so there are more people who are documented. There are more people who are American citizens.
We're happy to help.
Right? So I think we got 4 seconds left, right to the post, Chrissy, right? Before we end the show, what do you want to impart with our viewers and our listeners? We actually have more listeners on Google Play and iHeartRadio and all that than we have viewers on Facebook and YouTube, by the way, which people should be subscribing to. Final words about AFC Urgent Care and a pitch for what it is you guys are doing.
I think first and foremost, I just want to express my thanks to the people of the North Shore for having welcomed me and my family with open arms. And it's been a great community to live in, and I'm very proud to be able to offer healthcare services to the community. So to the folks out there who are listening, I want to say again, thank you. And I want to let you know that we at AFC are ready to help you with your acute medical care needs. You can walk in, you don't need an appointment, or you can book online and you can be seen. Your insurance will cover the visit. In most cases, the copay is under $50. It's way faster, way more affordable than the ER. So hopefully you won't need us, but if you do, then we are here.
One of the things I'm going to part with this, you can run up, Mel. One of the things that I love about AFC, and we've had lunch a couple of times at Salvatore's, is there was a woman online complaining about the service that she got at one of the AFCs, and you found out about it and called her on the phone and talked to her for an hour to relay her concerns and to try to, to handle what it is that she was upset about and fixed her problem. And I don't know anywhere else you can go and do that. Like healthcare or not, I don't know anywhere else you can get that service.
So that's something that I've actually been doing, honestly, since day one. All the negative reviews and all the neutral reviews come straight to me and to my management team. And we basically call anybody who's got a complaint or had an issue, and I call a lot of those people myself. I do a bunch of those calls each week.
That's awesome. Zaka Wafiq, did I say it right? Shafiq, sorry. All right, let's thank our sponsors. AFC Urgent Care, obviously, A&J Goodwin Plumbing, Bonfire Wellness Center in North Andover, Stadium Chiropractic, W3ON, Enterprise Bank, Chris's Barbershop on Main Street in Salem, New Hampshire, Prime Insurance in North Reading, Patrick's Eatery, which is the former Harrison's Roast Beef, Pleasant Valley Landscaping Contractors, Clear Path for Veterans New England, Tomo and Shaken Seafood, EIS Investigation and Gun Training, Century 21 McLennan Real Estate, and the Zany Pesci Law Office. Melvin Taylor says you got to go home. So you go home already. Marcin and Son Construction, go home.
Program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.